Today's video is one of those topics that keeps popping up in comment sections and forums. And I'll be honest, it's one that really makes you stop and look twice. We're talking about those photos from the Jeffrey Epstein files, and the question some people have been asking, do any of these images show JonBenét Ramsey? So if you spent any time going down the Epstein rabbit hole, you've probably seen at least one of these images. There's one in particular that gets shared a lot. It shows a young girl sitting on Epstein's shoulders. The girl has blonde hair, similar facial features to JonBenet, and at first glance, people immediately make the connection. Then there's another photo floating around. Different setting, different moment, but again, another young blonde girl who, depending on the angle, some people say looks uncannily similar. And here's where the theory starts. Now, before we go any further, let's ground this in facts. JonBenét Ramsey died in 1996 in Boulder. Her case is still unsolved, and it remains one of the most talked about mysteries in true crime history. Jeffrey Epstein, on the other hand, didn't become publicly exposed until much later, although we now know his activities spanned many years before that. So naturally, when people see photos of young girls connected to Epstein, and then notice a resemblance to JonBenet, it sparks questions. But here's where things get tricky. There has never been any verified evidence that JonBenét Ramsey had any connection to Jeffrey Epstein. There's been no official documents, and no confirmed sightings, and no credible investigative link. And importantly, none of these photos have ever been authenticated as being her. What we're really looking at here is something our brains do all the time, and that is pattern recognition. When you already know a face as well as people know JonBenet's, even a vague resemblance can feel convincing. Especially when the lighting, hairstyle or expression lines up just right. There's also another layer to this. The Epstein case is so disturbing, so wide-reaching, that it's created this environment where people are constantly trying to connect dots, even when those dots might not actually belong together. And I get it, people want answers. People want accountability. People want to understand how something like that could happen. But sometimes, in that search, it's easy for speculation to run ahead of evidence. That said, though, I do think it's worth talking about why these images hit such a nerve. Because JonBenet's case already carries so many unanswered questions. There's this lingering feeling that we don't have the full story. So when something like this appears, photos tied to a completely different but equally disturbing case, it almost feels like it could be part of something bigger, even if there's no proof. So here's what I want to hear from you guys. When you've seen these photos, do you see a resemblance? Do you think it's just coincidence and lighting? Or do you think there's something about these images that feels off? And more broadly, why do you think theories like this gain so much traction online? I always say this on my channel, but it really matters here. There's a difference between asking questions and presenting something as fact. Right now, this sits firmly in the unverified internet theory category. But that doesn't mean it's not worth discussing. Alright, I'm really curious to read your thoughts on this one. Jump into the comments, let me know what you think, and please keep it respectful. This case involves real people, real families, and a lot of pain. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.